Hi and welcome back to Programming with R and Matlab. My name is Jan and I'm Finance Station Assistant at Stockholm Business School. Today we are starting our next section, Coding in Matlab, and I'm going to give you a very short introduction and we're going to make a first step in our code. But first, a small introduction. I'm going to show you how you can get Matlab for free from Stockholm University. So for this you have to go to internet and go to the Stockholm University web page. So if you're Swedish speaking, you will go to utbildning, then you're going to select student service, IT för studenter, licensierade program, and then you're going to select Matlab. Then you're clicking in here, ladda ner, installera och förnya Matlab licens. And then you're just logging in with your login and password, and you get the step-by-step instruction. For English speakers, you go to the English version of the Stockholm University website. You go to Study with Us. You go to Student Service, IT for students. Then you select Software. Then you press on Matlab, and then you log in with your university account and get the English manual and step-by-step instruction as well. So let's get back to what we're going to do today. But first, a small recap of our algorithm. We said that we're going to divide the program in the logical blocks, in the 5 logical blocks, and we're going to call each of them functions. So today we're going to work on the first logical block. Let's call it LoadStockData. So what it has to do, it has to import the data from Excel, and it has to arrange it according to our data structure. So let's first speak about importing the data from Excel. So for this you have to go to Matlab, and first you will see it's a command window. Here you will see all the output, and also you can type some commands in here, like 2+2 for example. And to clean the screen you will use just the command clc, and it will wipe the whole command window. Then to the left you have current folder. It shows all the files in your working folder. So right now it is Z documents Matlab. To the left, excuse me. To the right you have your workspace. Here you will have all the variables in your working environment. So before starting, let's change our working folder. And to change your working folder you will go in here, and then you will just select the working folder you would like to work in. So it's our project. And here you can see that we already have a StockData.xls with all the stock data from Nasdaq Stock Exchange. And we're going to start a new script. The difference between the command window, you can actually type everything here as well, and it will work. The difference is that you can script you can save, whereas command window you cannot. So to export data from Excel to your working environment, you would like to write something like that. Numeric words and raw data, and then the command called xlsread. Then you need to write the file name, and in our case it's StockData.xls. And then if you leave it like this, you see that our green button over here changed to the yellow one. It's because we're not suppressing the output. What it means, suppressing the output, if we write it like this, it will print numeric words and raw data in our command window. If we write a dot with comma over here, it will not. And it's more advisable to use dot with comma so that you're not overstuffing your command window. And usually if you want to print something or just to check the variable, you can just either type the name of the variable in the command window or double click it in the workspace over here. So let's just import the whole data. It will take some time. I didn't press run, excuse me. So yeah, we will call it main .m and yes. So now you see in the workspace you have the data. So what's the difference? If you use, so in the first one you have all the numeric data, all the numbers in your XLS file. In words you have only words which are written in the Excel, and in raw data you have all together, or words and numbers. The thing is that, and as you can see here, like numeric it will be double, so pretty much it's numbers, but raw data and words it will be cell. So we're going to use a raw data in our example because we want also to import the names of our stocks together with their prices. So we're not going to need numeric and words at all. And if we don't need this variable, it's better to use this type of symbol, because then it just throws the data away. And also, as I said, you can take a look at the data itself if you double click on it here, and you can see this is just our Excel file imported. We're going to take a look at it a little bit later. So let's delete our variables. Yeah, you just select them and press delete and run our data, and then you see now it's only raw data created. And if you want to say what this command does, or what you pretty much mean by this command, it's really nice to comment it. Commenting is done with if you put a percentage sign and then you just write importing data from Excel, so that you know what you're doing. Okay, so we have imported data from Excel, and now we have to arrange it according to our data structure. Let's take a look at it. If you forgot a little bit how and why we arrange it like that, you can take a look back at our video in basics variables. And today we're going to work on this part, which is selected by the red circle. So we want to create a matrix which will have pretty much all stocks we have imported from our Excel, and each cell of this matrix is going to contain a struct, and each struct will have fields ticker or name in our case, prices, moving averages, Sharpe ratio and trainer ratio. And because we're doing it as a separate logical block, we're going to write it in a separate file, and we will call this file as a function. And this file would be you would be able to call it in our main window over here. So let's press on the new one, create a new script, and let's comment it and say that it's going to be LoadStockData is a function which imports data from Excel and arranges it according to our data structure. So to say MATLAB that it is a logical block which is going to be used afterwards in a separate program or in our program, you need to write a special keyword which is called function. This is why we're calling it function. Then you open brackets, and in brackets you want to write what variables you would like to have. So for now we are going to have on the data. Then we go in equal sign. Then here we need to write a name of our function, LoadStockData. And then in brackets you put which input variables the LoadStockData will require. So in our case it's just going to be our XLS file or Excel file. Then be sure to, after you have written some code, to write AND so that the MATLAB knows where is the AND of this function. And let's save it. Be sure that the name you're going to save it under is going to coincide with the name you're using here. And now if you, for example, just want to say that it's our stock data is going to be equal, so to call this function from here you just write the variable we want to put in the output, the data. So here we're going to call it stock data. Then we're going to write LoadStockData, open in the brackets. Oh, let's open the brackets and MATLAB will have, yeah. You see, it's even tells us what is needed. So it needs our XLS file, and it is StockData.xls. Pay attention that you have to use this type of symbols to select to tell MATLAB that it is string or words, because otherwise it will not recognize it as a name. And then this one, then we're going to copy and paste it in our function. And instead of stock data, we're going just to put XLS file. So how it is will work, and then call in first logical block. Let's call it like this. So pretty much what we're doing right now, we're calling the LoadStockData, so MATLAB will try to find the file, which is called LoadStockData. I identify this function, then tell that I need Excel file for this, look back here for the name of the Excel file, automatically write this Excel name into the XLS file variable, and then we're going to use this variable throughout the whole function. Okay, so after we have imported the data, we have our raw data in here. We would like to know how many stocks we actually have and how many time points we have. And for this, it's quite important to have it opened in here. So this is why we imported it before writing the whole code and then copied it in here, so that we can actually see the data. So we can see that the first row in our raw data variable is actually words and names, so it's not the numeric data we want to use, and it will not be counted as a number of time point. So when you're going to count how many time points you have, you're going to count from the second element and until the end. So how you do it? You're going first to identify what are the dimensions of the matrix. So identifying the number of time periods, and let's call it num time. So to identify the size of this matrix, you actually need to use a function which is called size. Then you say which matrix are you using, or vector or anything else, because most of the data is stored as a matrices in MATLAB. And then you're going to select which number you're going to use. So if you're just going to run size as this, it will say you 524 and 256. And if you select 1, it will select the first number, 524, which is the number of rows, and 256 is the second number, and it's the number of columns. So we wanted to have it, but the thing is that it counts this row, the first row, so we need to get rid of it, and we just do -1, and then we automatically suppress the output, so it's not so we cannot see it in command window. We can display it afterwards because the value is stored in num time anyway. And then we would like to identify the number of stocks we're going to deal with, and let's think better what we're going to consider to be a stock. Let's take a look in here. Dates, is it a stock? No. then our risk, so pretty much we need to minus 1 from the total number of columns. Then are we going to consider the risk-free rate as a stock? No, we're not actually, because we're not going to invest in it. So this is going to be thrown away as well. Now we come to the OMX 30 index. Well, it's a bit tricky because there are ETFs, so presumably you can invest in index, but we're going to include it in stock, but we're not going to invest it, so that it's more done for educatory purposes, so that you can see that even if you have some variables in a matrix which you're not going to use, it's possible still to adjust your code for this. So let's say that the number of stocks is going to be equal, again you just type size raw data, then you take the second number 256 minus you drop in this one and you drop in this one, so it's 2 minus 2. Okay, good. So now we know the total number of time periods, we know the total number of stocks. What else would we like to have? Well, let's extract the risk-free rate, just so that we have it. Extracting risk-free rate, and let's call it RF. And as you remember, I told you that the first element here, it was numeric, and we saw it was converted to double, whereas text and raw data was cell. Well, this is the thing that when MATLAB instructs the data as a kind of text together with numbers, it does not differentiate if it is number or not. So pretty much the numbers you see actually in here, they're not numbers as is. So you need to convert them. It's done pretty easy. You just call cell to mat. Why I'm using this thing, because we have you see here it's written cell, and then if you want to do some operations with it, store it as a string or word, or to store it as a number, you need to just convert it in cell to mat, and then it would work perfectly. If you want to convert, for example, let's say number to string or something like this, there is a different function. I think we're going to use it in the last block when we're going to display the data. Good. So let's just for now extract the risk-free rate, and we want to extract all the numbers starting in the second column, starting from the second row down to the end. So we would like to select from raw data, then we open it again. We would like to select from second element down to end. So 2 dots here means that it's going to from to. This is how you say. So it's 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 up to the end of the whole thing, up to the end. And here you would like to specify the column, and that's it. Good. And after running this, you're going to have all the data in here as a vector, going from second to 528 or whatever the last data point is. Good. But the thing is that, as you can see, it's in percentages, and we need to divide it by 100 so that we can make mathematical operations with it. So to do this, you just divide it by 100. That's it. Good. So we have extracted our data. So right now, what we're going to do, let's take a look back at our thing. We need to create a matrix. Let's take it like this. We need to create a matrix which is going to have which number of rows, which will have such many rows as many stocks as you have. So for each stock you will have a separate row and only one column in here. This is ID, it's not counting at all. So let's now do it. Create an empty. So at first we're going to create empty database, and we're going to call it data because this is what we want to get back in here. And to create an empty matrix, you are going to use RepMat. Then A is usually a date you would like to put in your matrix. Here we see that each element of the matrix is actually a struct, so each element is going to be a struct. We just write an empty because it will create as an empty struct. Then you would like to have number of stocks as the rows, as the number for rows. So you're going to use num stocks. And then you would like only to have one column. That's it. So now we created an empty database. Now what we want to do right now, we would like just to fill it in with our data, and that's it. So as we remember, because we want to do it for each row, and here the keyword is each. If you want to do it for each row, then you just write for, and let's say for ID is equal from 1, so from first ID to the very last one, but we cannot write AND because it doesn't know what's the AND, so to the number of stocks. So what it will do, it will go, so right now if you just run this, the ID will change its value from 1 to the number of stocks, and let's say number of stocks is 100, then it will change from 1 to 100 or to 1 to 200 if number of stocks will be equal to 200. Good, then we would like to do we would like to copy name. So here we call it TK, let's call it name in here. Cell to mat raw data. We would like to copy this thing, let's say omix, the name, this thing into the name field. So cell to data, and it's going to be first row, and then we are going just to change the ID. So right now ID, let's say ID is equal to 1, which will be for OMX Stockholm 30 index, and it will have ID 1 in our database here, but here it has number 3, so we need to add 2 to our ID to get in here so that we can link it. Good. And then again suppress it. Then now again data ID prices, we're going to extract the prices, so it's going to be in the same, absolutely in the same manner. We can just copy this part, and instead of 2 we're going to use ID plus 2. We're going just from the second to the end, and then we're selecting, so if let's say ID is equal to 1, then it will select in the third column from the second to the end. If ID is equal to 2, from the fourth into the end, because here we're adding 2. Okay, now let's go back to our thing. So also we need to have moving average. So let's just create, we don't have a moving averages, we need to calculate them. So right now let's just make them an empty space, but we're going still to have them. You see, moving averages, this means that it is empty. Now Sharpe ratio and trainer ratio. And do not forget to write AND. And also, usually I like to use intend, so you just select it and press tab, because now it just feels that This is the function, this is the whole code in the function. It's just easier to see how it will work. We are not using number of time and risk-free rate for now, but we're going to use it. And actually I think we would like to have number of time and number of stocks and do not calculate it again. So we want it to be returned by our function as well. So let's just, so pretty much here just mention what data we'd like to have as an output. So number of time and also number of stocks. Then let's fix over the code over here. So now if you just try to run it as this, it will not return you anything. It will tell you an error. So we want to have a stock data, the number of time and number of stocks. Call in first logical block, yes. So we are saving this. And if we're going to run it right now, we're going to create our data. Let's run. Yeah, so you see now we have created a stock data. So right now this is what we have in our stock data. We have the fields which each field contain name, prices, moving average, shop ratio, training ratio. These are for now empty, but we're going to calculate them quite soon. And also I want to tell that though we have them as a separate blocks, actually the calculation of shop ratio, moving average and trainer ratio are going to be done in LoadStockData, but as a separate functions as well. So I will show you how it can be done, and I think it would be very cool, because then you would be able to see how it is, how you can divide the code and still be able to track everything and still be able to navigate, and if you will find some errors, then you would just go to the specific block and correct it instead of going through the whole code and see how it will be. Okay, so let's get back. We arranged our data according to our data structure. And let's take a look. Yeah, and as I said, moving average will be included as well. So for today, what we did, we have done the first structure, the first logical block, where we imported the data from Excel and arranged it, so that now we're ready to calculate the moving average and find and pretty much find the stocks which have a buy signal according to our moving average strategy. But this we're going to do in the next video. Press here to play next video, and thank you for watching. Have a nice day. Hej då!